Hello, hello. It says I'm live. Don't know if I'm live because I'm still confused by this new live producer that they have. Um, so there's Tina, so I guess I am live, huh? Ooh, I'm all sweaty. Hello, Elizabeth and Tina. So let me know. I've got a fan that's on me right now. So let me know if the fan is making too much noise for this. Jeff hasn't turned on our air conditioning yet here, so it is. What is it? Hold on. Let me get my watch. Go. It's not giving me the temperature because I want the temperature right now. But it's in the 80s here in Chicagoland. Very hot. So I'm a big sweaty mess. But it's not about me, right? And who am I? I am Jax West. I run Stephen Avery Project as well as our little subgroup MAM Gossip. And then there is also Justice with Jax. Thought I would go live today to go over where I will be reading the brief that Kathleen filed in October. Can I make a comment on here? Oh, I have to scroll down. There's lots more. It doesn't just scroll as you go, I guess, apparently. So let me see. There's Carol and Christina and Gina and Tom and Kim and Mark and Tiffany and Julie. Oh, Tiffany spelled a different way. That's an interesting spelling. The Tiphane. Jen and Tamara and Claire. Oh my god, are you scared of my masks in the back? Hold on. Is that better for you, Claire? um, Hello, everybody. There's so many. Okay, so now I'm at the bottom. So here is the link to the filing from Kathleen's page. Hopefully that'll be a clickable link for you all. Okay, it looks like it is. Hello, Lynn. So we've done this before when this filing first came out, but since allegedly the state's response is due on Friday, 2 days from now, I thought I would go over and read it again for just a refresher of what was in Kathleen's filing and what we're waiting for the state to respond to. So while this is going, while I am reading, I won't really see your questions and such because I'll be looking on this screen reading it. So maybe if like Lynn and Christy, who are watching right now, that are Stephen Avery Project moderators, if people ask questions that you all can answer, you can answer their questions while I'm reading. I'll sometimes glance back to this and be able to see your comments, and maybe I will answer them. This thing is 150 pages long. I don't recall when we read it because it was filed October 14th of 2019. So I'm not sure how long it takes me to read it, but there is stuff in here that I do skip, so not all of it is stuff that we have to read. And then when the state's response comes out allegedly on Friday, as soon as we get it, I will go live here on Stephen Avery Project and I'll share it in our groups and such as well. So I'll read it and we'll post a link. Chances are Lynn will get it first. Lynn seems to get the stuff, finds the stuff first. So as soon as we can get it, or I contact the clerk and get it directly from the clerk, but it just all depends where we get it first. And so we'll post it and read it and discuss. So, but we're just waiting on where Stephen's case is right now is that Kathleen had filed this brief in October that we are about to read now, and we're waiting for the state's response on it. And then after that, we'll have to wait for the court's response on that. So, questions we always get asked is, how is Steven? Steven's in prison now during COVID, so not a great time. You can't have visits and such. And how are his parents? As we always say, they're getting older every day. Every day that passes is another day closer to Steven not being able to be reunited with his parents. So time is of the essence. Steven needs to be released. Blaze is asking, what about Brendan? Brendan's in a tougher situation than Steven. His case has been denied by the Supreme Court. So Brendan is dependent on either what Kathleen is able to do in Steven's case, and if she's able to prove, even though that's not her job. Kathleen's job is not to prove who the killer is. She is just to show that Steven is innocent. So it is not her job to point out that, and these are my words, that Bobby Dassey and Scott Taddock killed Teresa Halbach. That's not her job. Her job is, like I said, just to prove Steven's innocence, and that there is so much reasonable doubt that he cannot be found guilty without a reasonable doubt. And so what Brendan's lawyers, and I see one of the moderators is posting on that as well, they're trying to get clemency for Brendan. They're asking the governor of Wisconsin to grant his petition for clemency. So that's always like a last-ditch effort, because clemency doesn't say you're innocent. That's just gonna let you out. So they have encouraged people to reach out to Governor Evers and encourage him to approve his clemency petition. So hoping for that, because both of these people, Steven and Brendan, are both innocent, and they've had many years stolen from them, and neither one have been able to live like free adults. You know, they took Steven at first when he was 21? Rickard is saying, is he in same prison as Exotic Joe? No. Joe is in a federal prison. Brendan and Steven are state cases. So that's another question we're asked all the time before I get into this. The President of the United States has no say on what happens to Steven and Brendan. Their cases are state, not federal cases. So they are, it's up to the governor in their cases. So Kim, I don't know. I don't remember what prison Joe Exotic got put in. But he's not in Wisconsin. All right, so let me get started on this. Like I said earlier, the moderators will be answering any of your questions while I'm looking at this other screen, reading this. So this is brief of defendant appellant Steven A. Avery. Let me go through the table of contents, scrolling down. I also skip when I read these. So like right now there's all these prior cases that are cited. I don't read the prior cases. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not basically a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be. And I'm assuming most of you out there don't care about the other cases that they cite. All right, so where this begins then, where I'm reading, is page 16 of 150. It says, issues presented. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion in denying Mr. Avery's motion to vacate its October 3, 2017 order and allow additional scientific testing? The circuit court answered no. 2. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion in summarily dismissing Mr. Avery's second motion pursuant to Wisconsin statute, blah, blah, without addressing and now 5 Brady is in italics, to stand out, 5 Brady claims raised, and in subsequently denying Mr. Avery's motion to supplement, which raised a 6th Brady claim, all of which deprived him of due process in violation of the Wisconsin and United States Constitution. The circuit court did not address the 5 Brady claims. The circuit court answered no to the 6th Brady claim. 3. Did the circuit court err as a matter of law in failing to address Mr. Avery's claim of ineffective assistance of trial counsel? The circuit court answered no. 4. Did the circuit court err as a matter of law in ruling that it was not authorized by statute to resolve claims of ineffective assistance of counsel prior, and that Mr. Avery would have to pursue that claim with the Court of Appeals pursuant to State versus Knight, blah, blah? The circuit court answered no. 5. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion in dismissing Mr. Avery's second motion pursuant to Wisconsin statutes, blah, blah, without requiring the state to respond or conduct an evidentiary hearing? The circuit court answered no. 6. Did the circuit court err as a matter of law in applying the wrong standard to the newly discovered evidence? The circuit court answered no. 7. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion in ruling that the second motion of Mr. Avery, pursuant to Wisconsin statute, blah, blah, failed to show a sufficient reason as to why these issues could not have been raised in prior motions and is therefore barred by State versus blah, blah? The circuit court answered no. 8. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion by denying Mr. Avery's motion to reconsider and his 3 supplements to said motion, which included new evidence developed after his original filing on June 7, 2017? The circuit court answered no. 9. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion in ignoring the subsequent briefs submitted by the parties incident to the motion to supplement? The circuit court answered no. 10. Did the circuit court abuse its discretion by denying Mr. Avery's supplemental blah motion for new trial pertaining to the discovery of human bones in the Manitowoc County gravel pit southwest of the supposed crime scene? The circuit court answered no. Now we're on page 19 of 150. It says Statement on Oral Argument and Publication. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute, blah, blah, appellant requests oral argument to facilitate review of the complex legal issues raised herein, some of which are believed to be of first impression. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute rule, blah, blah, a publication is warranted because the case is of interest to the public and raises issues believed to be of first impression. Page 20. Statement of the case and procedural history. 1. The state's case. In the 4 months before her murder, 25-year-old Teresa Halbach had been to the Avery salvage yard to take photographs of vehicles 5 times: June 20, 2005, August 22, 2005, August 29, 2005, September 19, 2005, and October 10, 2005. Ms. Halbach worked for Auto Trader magazine and had her own photography business. Auto Trader is a magazine that contains advertisements and photos of automobiles for sale. Automobiles? Stephen Avery had arranged hustle shots with Ms. Halbach previously by calling her cell phone directly, as he did on October 10, 2005. Because hustle shots were not prearranged, the Auto Trader office did not know about such shots until after they occurred, when the billing took place. A photographer earned more from a hustle shot than a shot prearranged through Auto Trader. Ms. Halbach did many such hustle shots. I'm just scanning this. Okay, because there's a footnote and seeing if the footnote should be read or not. Okay. A. The state's timeline for October 31, 2005 and witnesses. 8:12 a.m. According to the state, Mr. Avery called Auto Trader and spoke with Dawn Pliska, the Auto Trader receptionist, in an attempt to lure. When I do this, it's because it's in quotes on there, not because I'm a dork. Well, I'm a dork, but that's not why I'm doing that. To lure Ms. Halbach to the Avery salvage yard by setting up a photo shoot appointment for his sister, Barb Dassey's Plymouth van. Mr. Avery called from his cell phone. Ms. Pliska testified that the caller left the telephone number, which is a different number from his cell phone, the landline number for the Dassey Yonda residence, and the Dassey Yonda address. 9:46 a.m. Ms. Pliska testified about an incoming call from AutoTrader to Ms. Hallbach, allegedly leaving the Dassey Yanda phone number and their address. 11:43 a.m. Ms. Hallbach called the Dassey Yanda number and left a message on their answering machine which stated, quote, "I don't have your address or anything, so I can't stop by without getting a call back from you," unquote. 1:10 p.m. Ms. Hallbach arrived at Stephen Schmitz's residence. The state presented an incorrect timeline to the jury based upon Mr. Schmitz's erroneous recollection that he had received a call from Ms. Hallbach at 1:10 p.m. Ms. Hallbach's phone records show that she called Mr. Schmitz at 12:51 p.m. Therefore, contrary to the state's timeline, Ms. Hallbach arrived 20 minutes earlier at the Schmitz's residence than the state represented to the jury. 2:12 p.m. Ms. Hallbach called the Zipper residence and left a voicemail on the Zipper answering machine stating that she could not find their residence. This voicemail is missing and was never turned over to trial defense counsel. 2:24 p.m. The state claimed that, as part of Mr. Avery's effort to lure Ms. Hallbach to his property, Mr. Avery used, quote, "the star 67 or block feature where the recipient of that call can't tell who is calling," unquote. Ms. Hallbach did not answer this call, and Mr. Avery did not leave a message. 2:27 p.m. Ms. Hallbach spoke to Ms. Pliska and allegedly informed her that she was on her way to the Avery property. The state provided no explanation of how the unanswered 2:24 p.m. star 67 call would have lured Ms. Hallbach to the Avery property. 3 minutes later, Ms. Hallbach told Ms. Pliska that she was on the way to the Avery property at 2:27 p.m. The state never explained how Ms. Hallbach learned of the Dassey Yanda address. The telephone records of AutoTrader, Ms. Hallbach, and Mr. Avery do not show contact between Ms. Hallbach and Mr. Avery from 11:43 a.m. to 2:27 p.m. Ms. Hallbach's text and computer messages were never retrieved by the state. 2:35 p.m. Mr. Avery placed the second star 67 call at 2:35 p.m., but the call was never connected. 2:32 to 2:45 p.m. The state's primary witness was Bobby Dassey, the killer, who testified that he was asleep and woke up at 2:30 p.m. and looked out of the window of the Dassey Yanda residence. Bobby testified that he saw Ms. Hallbach's RAV4 pull up, Ms. Hallbach exit the vehicle and start taking pictures of the Dassey Yanda van. When Ms. Hallbach finished photographing the van, Bobby saw her, quote, "walking up towards Uncle Steve's trailer," unquote. Bobby then took a shower, and when he left the property at about 2:45 p.m. to go bow hunting, he saw that Ms. Hallbach's RAV4 was still on the property, but he did not see her. Based upon Bobby's testimony, the state claimed that Mr. Avery was the last person to see Ms. Hallbach alive. 2:41 to 2:43 p.m. Ms. Hallbach's records indicate that a call was actively forwarded at 2:41 p.m. using the call forward no answer feature. Sorry, let me mute my phone. After the 2:41 p.m. call on October 31, there were no other CFNA messages left. Rather, the subsequent calls are voicemails without CFNA, which is call forward no answer. The 2:41 p.m. call to Ms. Hallbach's phone pinged off of the Whitelaw Tower, which was 7.8 miles from the Avery property. 3 p.m. Scott Taddock, the other killer, Barb's boyfriend, testified that at about 3 p.m. he went bow hunting to Kewanee, and as he drove on Highway 147 going west, he saw Bobby driving east. Crisscross. 3:46 to 3:47 p.m. Bobby's brother, Blaine Dassey, testified that at approximately 3:46 p.m. or 3:47 p.m., after he got off the school bus and was walking home, he saw Mr. Avery place a plastic bag in his burn barrel, and the barrel had white smoke and flames coming out of it. The state prosecutor, Kenneth Kratz, sweaty sweat, claimed that by 4:35 p.m., Mr. Avery had burned Ms. Halbach's electronic devices in his burn barrel. 4:35 p.m. According to the state, Mr. Avery placed an alibi call to Ms. Halbach's phone from his landline. 4:45 p.m. to dusk. Mr. Robert Fabian, a friend of Earl Avery's, testified that he saw smoke and smelled plastic being burned in Mr. Avery's burn barrel around dusk. 7:30 to 7:45 p.m. Mr. Taddock testified that he saw a large fire in Mr. Avery's burn pit with flames reaching above the roof of the garage, and he saw Mr. Avery standing by the fire. The state claimed that Ms. Halbach was already murdered by this point, and Mr. Avery was in the process of, quote, destroying, mutilating, and burning her body in his burn pit. 11 p.m. When Blaine got home from trick-or-treating, he testified that he saw, quote, Stephen Avery sitting there watching the fire, unquote. I find it hard to believe that Blaine would say Stephen Avery when talking about his uncle. And that the flames were about 4 or 5 feet. And then the footnote at the bottom here says, the state failed to identify the following calls on October 31, 2005. 8:17 a.m. from Auto Trader to Ms. Halbach, 8:39 a.m. from Mr. Avery to Bobby, 10:45 a.m. from Denise Heidel to Ms. Halbach, 10:52 a.m. from Auto Trader to Ms. Halbach, 11:04 a.m. from Mr. Avery to Auto Trader, 11:35 a.m. from Ms. Halbach to Ms. Heidel, and 12:44 p.m. from Stephen Speckman to Ms. Halbach. Page 25. B. The state's forensic evidence. The state's case against Mr. Avery was based